everybody, it's Jennifer Henneman here with Ears of Experience, and I thought I would come to you this afternoon. I do videos like this a lot for you guys, and it's just me talking to you, so this time I thought I would include my family, because we all went to Disney for Josh and Roby's 7th birthday, and I just wanted to, I thought maybe it would be fun to have them and their input too about this. So I have a list of some things that I want to talk to you about, and wanted to get their opinion also. Where did we go on your birthday? What park did we go to?
Hollywood Studios.
Hollywood Studios, and was it fun?
Yes.
Was it the best birthday ever?
Yes.
Yeah, you thought so too? Yeah. Who did you see there?
The Stormtroopers.
The Stormtroopers, and what did they do?
Pointed at me.
Pointed at you and talked to you? Yeah.
There you are, citizen. Over here. That is affirmative. Make it quick. We're on patrol. Strike formation. Hold. Very well. Proceed with scan.
They did that to you too? Okay. So anyway, this is my husband Jim, Josh and Roby, and we just thought that we would talk to you a little bit about our trip. So I know that you got this video is going to be coming to you along with my day-by-day sort of narrative that goes through in a lot of detail exactly what we did, the experiences that we had, the cleaning and safety procedures. But I thought that if you didn't want to read all that, you could watch this, and then if there was anything that you had questions on or that you wanted to know a little bit more detail about, you could go to our day within the newsletter that I'm sending out. And if you're not on my newsletter list and you're watching this video on YouTube or whatever, shoot me an email. I'll put my email address down, and I'll be happy to add you to my newsletter list. So wanted to first off talk about online check-in. Like, we did online check-in because that's what Disney says that you're supposed to do to help maintain physical distancing in the lobbies and stuff. It didn't work for us. This happens sometimes. It was 4:30 or 4:30, or was it 5 that we got there? We get there 5 o'clock-ish that we got there, and I still hadn't got a text that our room was ready yet. So Jim parked the car out in front of the lobby. We stayed at Boulder Ridge Villas at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, and I went in and checked, and there was a glitch in the app. So not a big deal. There was nobody in the lobby. They had hand sanitizer going into the lobby, hand sanitizer coming out of the lobby there where you have Bell Services. There was hand sanitizer there. They have the plexiglass, like, physical distancing up. You're making faces at the camera, aren't you? They had the plexiglass physical distancing up there at the front desk. So it really, I mean, I never the whole time we were there, with the exception of one section of one day, felt unsafe, and I'll get to that point. You can read about that in my Disney Springs day. It was just in the world of Disney where we were shopping, and there was a bunch of people in the store, and it's just really, really hard to physical distance in a store that big where there's so much merchandise that everybody wants to see. So we just made our selections quickly and got out of there. That was the only time I felt a little eek, and it wasn't even that bad. I still felt safer there than I do at my grocery store.
They had the quantity of people down, but everybody's still looking at the same thing.
The same stuff. So that was the only time that we ever felt. I'm gonna reach up here so I can see a little bit better. That was the only time we ever felt kind of just a little less safe than we had felt the rest of the week that we were there, and that's simply because every other time that we were there, we were so safe. We felt so safe. So did the online check-in, the cleaning procedures at the hotel rooms. I'm OCD.
Amen.
And so I really go through and wipe things down and clean stuff anyway when I'm in a hotel room. There's a little sign on the table when you get in there that talks about the cleaning procedures, that the housekeeping is taking extra, going above and beyond all the floors, all the surfaces, everything. I also did my own wipe down of everything just because that's me, and that's who I am, and that's what I do. And I do that anyway when we're not in a pandemic. And even when I was wiping stuff down, there was no dirt, no dust anywhere. So that tells me that they're not just putting this, not that I thought Disney would do this, but they're not just putting the sign up in the room. They're actually doing this. So, oh yeah, tell them about that. That was really cool. And you were very impressed with that.
The one morning, either it had rained or the sprinklers were on and the chairs were wet on the little balcony there by the thing. And I took the white bath towel out, and I wiped off the chairs, and there was no dirt on them. They were sitting outside, and there's still no dirt on the top. Whenever I was done wiping them off.
So I mean, they're very, very thorough with everything. I didn't feel unsafe at all. So I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit. Safety at the parks and at the resorts. Everybody is required to wear a mask. But did masks bother us? Did they bother you guys?
No.
Would you go back to Disney tomorrow, even if you had to wear a mask again the whole time like you did? Yeah? Yeah. They really didn't bother us. Like, we have been used to wearing them around here, around town. Now, I'm not telling you that one mask is going to be better than another. But, and certainly I can't guarantee that you're not going to get the coronavirus or whatever when you visit Disney or what. But we used the cloth masks, like when we went to dinner our first night and things like that. We used the paper, more surgical masks that I just bought a whole bunch of before we went for our actual trip. So that way we could, if one of them got sweaty or wet or gross or we sat down to eat or whatever, we could take it off, throw it away, and then put on a fresh new one, and that really helped. And I think that actually those paper masks were a lot cooler for us also. So that was a good thing for us. There are physical distancing markers everywhere. You cannot throw something and not hit where they've got things marked off, whether you're in line, whether you're at a restaurant, whether you're in a quick service restaurant, in the hotel lobby, everywhere there's places that very clearly designate where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. They have temperature screenings when you go into the parks. It was very quick and easy. It did not slow us down at all. They've got temperature screenings also at all of the resort restaurants, so they take your temperature too before you're allowed in the restaurant, which I like. And also, what ride was it that we had to wait for them to clean? Do you remember? What park were we at where we had to wait for them to clean?
Ooh,
the
the big ball?
The big ball, which is called what?
Space Mountain.
No, not Space Mountain. Spaceship.
Earth.
Spaceship Earth at Epcot. We got to Epcot, and it was a 20-minute wait, but there was nobody in line. And so we asked, and they said, well, they're getting ready to clean the ride vehicles. It takes about 20 minutes for them to run the whole cycle through and clean the ride vehicles. So
it's one continuous.
Yeah, because it's one continuous loop. So we actually stood there. We were like, oh, and they said, you can wait, and you'll be the first ones on the newly disinfected ride vehicles. And I was like, or you can, go back and come back later. And we decided to just wait, and it was really cool to watch. It was it was one of our longest waits. It was really cool to watch. They sprayed down, like, everything on the ride vehicle that you could touch was sprayed down with disinfectant. It was really, really cool to be able to see that. So speaking of dining, now we talked about the resort restaurants. They really do encourage you to use the mobile order app, and
awesome.
Which is on your phone. It saves you time, and that way you don't have to be hanging out in the restaurant waiting for them to call your food. When we went to Pecos Bill that one day, we placed our mobile order when we were over by Haunted Mansion. Then we walked over to Frontierland. We tapped the little thing that says, "I'm here, prepare my order." And then there were cast members out front, and we got in line and stood in line for a little bit, and they told us then, and we said we placed a mobile order. They were letting people go in. They were spacing out who was going in, and then once you got in, there was another cast member that said, hey, you stand here, you stand there, and there were markers on the floor that told us where to stand until our order was ready, which was awesome. They also were cleaning the tables like nobody's business, too. Like, we were looking for a table at Pecos Bill. We went to eat right around noon, and, like, literally we saw some people get up, and I was ready with my alcohol wipes, like, ready to wipe them down, but as soon as these people came up, it was like, boom, a cast member was at the table, wiping stuff down, the table, the chairs, spraying, everything. It was awesome. And then even the spacing of tables, we were with another family of 5, and we went to Satuli Canteen, which is the quick service restaurant over at Animal Kingdom at Pandora, and they had the markers on tables that said don't sit here. Every other table was, this table is not able to be used. So we had sat at one, and our friends sat at the other table with the table in between. So we weren't really paying attention. We were kind of spreading out a little bit because we were with them and they were with us, and all our germs were with each other anyway. So we, but the cast members came by and they were like, you can't use this table. You can't be here. And we were like, well, we're together anyway. And they were like, no, it doesn't matter. You have to sit here. You cannot be at this. So that, even though it was a little annoying when it happened, like, it's a really, really good thing that the cast members are being that on top of it, which is really awesome. So let's get into some of the fun stuff. Talk about the rides. Talk about what all we got to do. Can you talk about that?
The
Talk
Slinky
about that.
Dog ride was pretty cool.
The Slinky Dog ride was pretty
No,
cool.
it was awesome.
It was awesome. How many times did you guys ride?
We didn't get to
Slinky Dog?
ride it hardly at all, did we?
I know.
No, 9 times.
9 times. That was awesome. And then what? We rode Big Thunder Mountain, which is the train that goes around and around and around. We rode that. How many times did we ride that? We rode that twice. Yep. We got off of it, and then you wanted to do it again. So it's like, okay, and we got right back on it again, huh? Yep.
Yeah.
And then we rode Seven Dwarfs Mine Train twice, without a fast pass. That's unheard of. And then also on Space Mountain, which was your first time riding Space Mountain. Did you like it? Yes and no. He's a little, in my opinion, he's a little young for Space Mountain. We're going up the tunnel, and I was sitting behind him, and he goes, "I think this was a no, it's funny. Don't think it's cute. He goes, I think this was a terrible idea." It was hilarious, but we
And
got
then
off
we
Space
dropped.
Mountain.
And then he
dropped. No, but then we got off Space Mountain, and a cast member came up to us, and they were like, does anybody want to ride it again? Like, that never happens. You're like, what? That's crazy. So, something, too, I wanted to talk to you about is, for the most part, the posted ride times were longer than what they actually were.
Posted ride times included the walk in.
Yeah, it included, like, the walk through the queue. Like, the posted wait time for Splash Mountain was, like, 40 minutes. For Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, it was, like, 45. And we waited, 20 for Splash? And not even. We rode Big Thunder Mountain Railroad twice in 20 minutes. And it was posted at 45. So you really just have to kind of... Disney tends to overshoot what their wait times are. Because, of course, they'd much rather have it be less than have it be more. So they tend to do that anyway. And I think now it's even harder to gauge because people are spread out so far in line. Which brings me to another point. If you see a line out the building snaking around somewhere, don't worry about it, because the lines look longer because everybody is physically distanced so far apart. For Slinky Dog Dash, the first time we rode it, it was in that late morning, and it was posted at a 30-minute wait, and there looked like storm clouds. We were like, that were coming in. We said, let's go ahead and ride it. So because, of course, if a thunderstorm comes in, they'll shut it down. So we went ahead and got in line, and it was all the way out towards Toy Story Mania. So if you know anything about Toy Story Land, and kind of how that land is laid out, that would appear to be on a normal day. That would be an incredibly long line. It was not. It looked really scary, but we got in it, and we waited maybe 20.
Well, they were cleaning the ride then, too.
Oh, they were cleaning the ride then, too.
As soon as they got up and running again, the line just went right in.
Yeah, and that's one thing, too. When in doubt, ask a cast member. They'll tell you, hey, they're in the middle of cleaning the ride, come back
every
later,
2 hours,
that kind of thing. Every 2 hours, they fully disinfect the ride vehicles, which is awesome. And then also, another thing that I wanted to tell you guys about is, like, we have noticed, and I've been watching the app since we got home and before we went and everything, if you're staying later in the park, the ride times go down. In the morning, things tend to be a lot higher in terms of wait times. And higher, I'm talking like 45 minutes, like not bad at all for a typical Disney day. But in the morning, things tend to be higher than in the afternoon and evening when they tend to be a lower wait time. So for Epcot and for Animal Kingdom, we didn't get there right when the park opened. We waited, and we came later, and it was very advantageous for us because that meant we could do stuff over and over and over and over again. Then also, here's a little tip. If you are in the line for an attraction before closing, even if the park is closing at 7 o'clock and you're in the line at 6:59, you will be able to ride that attraction. So maybe wait and get in line for the longest wait time in the evening, like right before park closing, because you're still going to be able to ride it. That was the case for Epcot when we were going to do Frozen Ever After. The line was like 45 minutes, I think, and we got in it. We ended up not doing it just because we decided we'd rather go back to the hotel and rest. But we were in the line. Epcot closed at 9. We were in the line at like 5 till 9, and we would have still been able to ride if we had wanted to stand in line. But we just decided to go on back to the hotel. So speaking of that too, the park hours, I hear a lot from people about they're upset that the park hours are shorter, and starting in September they're shortening all the park hours by an hour as well. So right now they're open for 10 hours, and then they're going to be 9 hours. We had no problem seeing everything we wanted to see in 8 or 9 hours.
A lot of the trinket shops are closed.
Yeah, a lot of the little shops are closed. There's a lot of little food kiosk places that are closed, so there's less congestion. It's easier to get around. Like, there's just a lot of stuff that and some of the shows, like, there's not, admittedly, there's not a lot of shows that are going to draw crowds. There's not parades or fireworks, so I didn't have a problem with the park hours being shorter, and it actually kind of forced us into having a much more relaxing and enjoyable vacation. We were able to just chill. We were able to come back to the resort. We were able to enjoy the pool a lot more this time, weren't we? Really, you guys like doing our pool days? We had our pool days, yeah. So now let's get to something that you guys really liked, and that was the character stuff, right? So, Roby, why don't you talk about the stepsisters? Where were the stepsisters? Where did we see them? Talk to me up there. Talk to the camera.
They were at the castle, and they talked to me.
They talked to you? They pointed you out because you were wearing the Spider-Man shirt that had like a half face on it, and they were like, "Hey, you with the half face." And I'm like looking around, like, and then I remembered what Roby was wearing that day. And what did she ask you?
How many castles did you have?
How many castles do you have? And what did you say?
5.
And then what did she ask you?
I don't want to tell them.
You don't want to tell them? They said,
So are we getting married?
"Are you going to get married?
I'm
When are we getting married?" I mean, it's just hilarious. Like, some of the interactions I think are better now than
They were up on the balcony.
Yeah, they're up on the balcony at the back where Cinderella's royal table, the restaurant is. There's kind of you don't really walk out on the balcony when you eat at the restaurant, but there is a balcony up there, and that's where the stepsisters were. What about the stormtroopers?
Oh yeah, they were on the stage while we were
At Galaxy's Edge.
At Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
And she talked to me, and
Was that neat?
yeah,
That was really cool. And then we saw little parades too, little character cavalcades that came around. When we were at Magic Kingdom, we saw one, and who all did we see in that one?
did we see Gaston?
what
And his
was
huge horse.
this huge horse. He was riding on a huge horse. And
Black
then
stallion.
there was a float right behind him that had Alice in Wonderland and Mary Poppins and Aladdin and Winnie the Pooh, and Tigger was bouncing along behind the float, and who else was on that? Peter Pan. But the cool thing was, like, Alice was looking out in the crowd, and the celebration buttons that you can wear, like happy birthday, happy anniversary, she was going, "Oh, happy birthday, oh, happy anniversary," like that kind of thing. It was really neat. It's almost like they go over and above now when they're in the parades and stuff to pick you out and say hello. There was also over at Hollywood Studios, there was a parade with the Incredibles and Sully and Mike, and we were waving at them. Don't forget what? Oh, tell them. I forgot about that. Tell them about that.
I'm Chip and Dale, and we're on a raft,
And you could see it and wave to them?
yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool too. Let me fix the computer. Yeah. So that was really cool too, huh? But so there's even though the characters, you can't go up to them and hug them, like, there's so many different really cool moments that you can get now that I kind of like better than before. It's different and it's fun.
There's not a 35-minute line.
Yeah, there's not a 35-minute line to see them either.
Just to see them.
Yeah.
You just pop up, you see them.
That's
If
a
you're
really
there,
good
you see them. And, they wave and everything, and then they're gone. And it keeps the crowds down. I mean, It's not like, it's not like, doesn't even give you time for a crowd to gather, really.
Yeah, it doesn't, because they're not scheduled. Ooh, bless you. They're not scheduled, and it's just impromptu. They'll just pop up, and you still get to see them. And that's a great point, that you don't have to wait 35 minutes to see Mickey Mouse because he's going to be in a parade. Or when we first walked in the Magic Kingdom, Mickey Mouse, and remember Mickey Mouse and Minnie and everybody, they were up
Yeah.
on the back of the train station. They were waving at you and pointing at you and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really kind of all I
And
wanted to.
Mickey Mouse's shirt had gummy bears on it.
Had gummy bears on it.
Good memory, bud.
Yeah, so we had a really awesome time, and I really hope that this video has helped you a little bit. If you have any doubts or anything, or were wondering kind of what it's like, and the safety, like we never felt unsafe ever.
What'd Sarah say? She felt more safe there than she did at Publix or Harris Teeter.
Yeah. We're gonna be done in just a minute. So yeah, we really felt a lot safer there than we have felt, at our local grocery store. And the thing about it, like Disney is also makes sure that everybody is following the rules too. Like if your mask drops down below your nose, they kindly ask you to pull it up. If you're not wearing a mask or something like that, they'll talk to you about it, or they'll remind you. There's always these reminders over the intercom saying, remember to keep physical distancing. But yeah, I never once felt unsafe, except for that time at World of Disney store at Disney Springs, which I told you guys about. And like we said, it's very hard.
You just come around the corner and there'd be someone there.
Yeah,
It wasn't even like they were crowded, but it's like you'd come around a rack or something, of clothes, and there'd be someone there. So it's like, oh, you back up. It wasn't. It was like my grocery store where I run into somebody who's going the wrong way down the aisle. So I mean, and it wasn't even that bad. So we had a really great time, and we really think this is a great time to go to Disney and take advantage of the low crowds and all the magic that I hope that they keep up even after this all goes away. So thanks for listening and have a great day. See you, bye.